Yo, what's up, YouTubers? So, on YouTube, there's various channels. You know, you could YouTube just about any project and get your mind wrapped around what needs to happen to, chicken coop or, 3D print something, build a building, get a mortgage, fix your credit, all these different things. So when we're on the YouTube, then we'll find certain creators that are prosperous for our endeavors to make it through life, and here's a problem, what should I do? There's somebody that's got something to say about it, and then you have to vet the process. Is this guy legit? Do they actually know what they're talking about? And is it applicable to my situation where I'm at with my age and stage of life? I find some of these to be incredibly helpful for life, and being a man, being a husband, a dad, a trucker, prepper kind of guy, and all this other stuff. I look to some of these guys and I see wisdom. I hear them saying the things that I say to my family. Those people in particular are found on YouTube, are the Bear Independent, the Pastor Joe Fox, and Timbosaurus Rex. Specifically those three. And they have extra content on Patreon. Okay, so your Patreon, it's going to cost you a little bit. Okay, and there's another guy that does a men's group. He's a Cody Ragelstar, and he does he talks about living, talks about being a man and stuff like that. And a little $5 a month or what it is, or whatever it is. I think Bear is like $100 for the whole year. And there's various tiers on various ones or whatever. But the Patreon paywall, between all four of those, I mean, I'm looking at, the price of eating at McDonald's a couple times a month. I mean, it's trivial. It's trivial amount of money. And when you get on there, the people that are on there it gets rid of the trolls. So you don't have the dumb shittery of the YouTube. You know what I mean? Now, for me personally, I receive freely and I give freely, so I can't have a Patreon account and do that. Like, I'm just I have personal conviction. It's just for my own person. It's not for anybody else, and I don't look at anybody else, at what they're doing. A worker is worth his wages, and I choose to not do anything, even if the paywall's just to get rid of the trolls. Like, I don't even care. I mean, that's I don't have haters because, like, I don't even. Maybe I do. I guess. I wouldn't know if I did. So anyway, that's funny. I never thought about that before. Maybe they all hate me. I don't know. I would never know either way because I don't care. Like, I actually, literally do not care. I just try to help everybody. You know what I mean? And we're supposed to love our enemies. So, like, I can't look at you like an enemy and love you. So just like, people are people. There's kinfolk and then not kinfolk, and I hope they get adopted. That's what I'll say about that. So in the quest to take over the earth for Jesus, I can't let money get involved for my own personal conviction. Like, for the path that I'm called to walk, they don't work. So anyway, these guys get on there. Okay, so today was a real good one, right? So you got the Fox, you know what I mean? He's out there walking. He got his knee replaced, okay? and he's out there walking, more than 80% of Americans that are able-bodied. So, I mean, tremendous. And like, he was showing them a place of dust where as he's walking his property, he can see sign. So he knows what type of critter, even a two-legged varmint, if they've been there or not, type of deal. And then on Tyrannosaurus Rex, he has a written contest going right now for a thermal optic. It goes, on your rifle. It's a surviving or after survival. You know what I mean? So like, everybody's worried about, the nuclear war or earthquakes, tsunamis, whatever, collapse of the dollar. I mean, just whatever. Like after that happens, then what? You know what I mean? After survival, and you can get on his deal and find out all about that. I think his regular page has it too. That's Tyrannosaurus Rex. The other one's Pastor Joe Fox, and his Patreon is Viking Survival Viking, something like that. He's a real good guy. He was in special forces and stuff too. And then I think Tyrannosaurus was he was in the military as well. I'm not sure to what degree. And then the Bear Independent. Now he is not in the military, but he runs a few businesses and ministries and stuff. He's got the Caleb House rescuing and restoring trafficked children, which I mean, the Bible says perfect religion is take care of widows and orphans in their time of need. So, Bear Independence religion is perfect when you define it biblically according to what Jesus said in the gospel. So, I mean, if you can find a better way to spend $100, I would be surprised, right? Anyway, now he does the Bear Independent thing, and then refuge medical thing. Like he was looking for a medical kit, couldn't find one. He made one, and then everybody's like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" So he started a company actually making medical stuff. I think I got one here. I think it's over there. I'm in a new truck. I ain't got it set up yet, but I got to take 2 steps to get my first aid kit instead of having it right in my pocket where it should be. So they got tremendous stuff. They even got stuff with your back to school stuff. That Refuge Medical, they got a deal. You can give your kid's teacher. It's called a desk kit, where some jackass runs in there and starts shooting everybody. Stop the bleeding, stop the death. You know what I mean? The fine art of how to not die. That's what they call it. They train people to do that and everything. But, you buy your kids some stuff, you send them to school or whatever, talk to the teachers, talk to the principal. Like, hey, what's your plan if 12 kids get shot? And if they do not have a plan, help them develop a plan. And you can figure out how to do all of that for free. Well, the Bear Independent deal. But then on his Patreon today, they got prepper classroom and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's tremendous how much he gives away. But then on his Patreon today, it was like marriage counseling day, I guess. Somebody had wrote in a question, and I guess this lady's like, "Hey, I'm a strong, independent woman, and I wear the pants, and this is my, it's hurting my relationship." And he goes through all the steps of, what that means straight out of the Bible. He talked a lot about getting your lane, and a surprising amount. It seemed like, dude and chick, battle of the sexes type of thing or whatever like that. It's what will pop in your mind to begin with. But the overwhelming fact of it was the dude's not being a man. You know what I mean? A weak and cowardly man is not stepping up. So the woman had to step up and, through that situation, that's how the women wind up being tough. You know what I mean? So it's all ultimately the man's fault. It really is. And the beauty of that, we all realize, is if it's my fault, I can fix it. If it's somebody else's fault, I'm a victim. And then what do I do besides, play victim. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not an answer. So, anyway, so that's real good, and he does real biblical stuff. So, his Patreon deal, I think I gave him $100 a year to get on that. And then the refuge stuff, it's free. And the Caleb House, I mean, they got calebhouse.org. You know what I mean? If you want to give to the widows and orphans, that's awesome. The refuge, they go to the tornadoes and floods and stuff like that. And when your house gets wiped out, and then you get insurance to rebuild your house, there's all this cost for removing debris. So they don't go and remove the debris for free, so you can actually, spend your money rebuilding. Which, that's something. If you've never been through that, then you don't realize, you got this insurance on your house, and then the insurance company is going to gouge, and then, it's freaking $250,000 to rebuild, and then some jackass comes along there and says, oh, we need $45,000 to tear down your house, and you're just standing there, your family has washed away, you're the lone survivor, everybody's dead, and there's just a mess. And then they'll come along, and be like, God loves you. Let me help you clean up your mess so you can spend your insurance money on the rebuild. And by the way, here's some food and stuff, and let's talk about Jesus. Give you a hug, sit with you while you're traumatized. I mean, like, just off the chart, goodness. So, if you want to donate to that Refuge Medical, that's Grindstone Ministry I was talking about. Refuge Medical makes the, so if you want to get some supplies, like they even do like this stall bag. Like I got the first one. They got a new one now, but it's like, it's basically a hospital on your back. And my little one I carry in here, it's got like chest seals and stuff. Like I have medical equipment to a level that my training does not reach. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to work on my truck right here, but I can limp it in and get it to higher care. Kind of the same thing with my medical stuff. It's like I ain't doing surgery. They do have like a surgical kit. They got like wound care buckets, birthing buckets, and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, you're out there on the farm, you know what I mean? And the electric goes out or whatever, shit hit the fan, and Sarah's pregnant and gonna have a baby, like right now. What do you do? Well, they got training and equipment for that. They thought about it. They can actually train you in how to do that. And they got buckets, like a 5-gallon bucket of stuff for baby. And they call it the birthing bucket, which is incredible. You know what I mean? Like who's ready for, giving birth? But, babies happen. Thank God. We need more babies. I like babies. Anyway, so on his thing today, he said some stuff that makes me want to be a better Christian and a better husband. So that's incredible, you know what I mean? And I even posted on there, I was like, I should donate $100 because I watched this and I was like, so-and-so needs to hear this bad. And then later on, I'm like, oh, I'm the one that needs to hear it, because that's how it is, like, especially, like, you find something good, that's like makes your case of what you've been trying to tell your wife, then it turns out, the reason why is the dude didn't do what he was supposed to do, which is, I can't say that I learned anything that I hadn't already read the Bible. However, the way he puts it together and articulates it, there's a reinforcement. You know what I mean? So, like, even if you're a know-it-all like me, nobody likes to know-it-all. Maybe that's why I don't have any haters. Hey, maybe that's why my subscribers go downhill. Anyway, there's a P-51 Mustang right there. Used to go spray chemicals on all our food. That's interesting. I'm down here on the border today. Highway 83. It's just about as Texas as you can get before you're a Mexican. Everybody around here, they're Texican. Anyway, so that's Bear and what he does. That's Tyrannosaurus Rex and what he does. And that's Pastor Joe Fox with Viking Preparedness, Viking Survival. Anyway, those three on Patreon, you're definitely spending more on coffee. You know what I mean? I think if you actually bought some coffee for the month, to make coffee all month for yourself, probably about the same price. You know what I mean? It's like, it's nothing. And the encouragement, though, and the no BS, you know what I mean? And the no commercials, you know what I mean? So like, one of the other YouTube channels I watch at is a guy named Andy Frisella, right? And he's real good because it's like, you know, that's your buddy from high school, you know, when you was working out and stuff. And then, like, he went on to become, like, extremely business savvy type of deal. And now you get to hang out with him when you're an old man, and he's like, yeah, you know, in this situation do this, in this situation do that. It's hard AF, which is funny. His deal is real AF, like the real Andy Frisella, but the AF is like, I thought it said real as fuck, right? And but it's real Andy Frisella. Like, yeah, he worked real hard to build a business, and then his business was helping people get in shape and supplements and stuff like that and everything. And people nowadays don't realize that there was such a gap for my generation of information about, you know, being in shape. Like, you're either, you know, letting me pump you up, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or just like not doing nothing. Or you're chasing some kind of football, basketball, baseball, whatever. So you're either, you know, they got you by the balls, or let me pump you up, or just like nothing. You know, you're just throwing hay bales, sweating your ass off, so you got a six-pack that way. You know, you're roofing a house, staying in shape type of deal. And, you know, back-breaking labor was our fitness. You know, fitness boot your ass if you don't do right. That was my fitness program. And then in between that, I was fitting this Subway sandwich down my neck. Then I was fitting a case of beer because I was fitting to find some girls. You know what I mean? Just heathen, just full heathen. And you know, God broke me all that stuff. I'm so grateful, and I want to grow, and I want to be a good man. And you know, these influencers or whatever, I don't think Andy's got a Patreon. I don't think he does. He just gives it all free. Those other three, they got Patreon or whatever like that. And they specifically to cut down the haters, I think. You know, they make a little on it. You know what I mean? When you see Pastor Joe Fox, I think he quit being a pastor because he's, but he does that Shofar Mountain deal. And, you know, when you take somebody that's been out on the land for a significant amount of time, you know, with, you know, all the joy of, you know, being your own supplier, and then these guys have a way with the Creator, and each one's specific, and highly recommended. Highly recommended. You need somebody that's going to tell you the straight of it when you don't want to hear it. And then the generalization, because they are talking to a crowd, makes it more digestible. Like right now, you know, if I called somebody out by name and I was like, so-and-so is in a adulterous relationship with so-and-so. I mean, that's very specific, you know, and that's said publicly, you know, that's, you know, there's a lot to that. But if you hear some random person say, you know, don't be in an adulterous relationship. Well, if you're in one, you got a little bit of conviction, but you don't have the, you didn't get outed. So it's more digestible. You know what I mean? And that opens road for God's conviction. Okay, so that's incredible, incredible. So if I can cough up, $25 a month these various ways, for my YouTube premium, for my, Patreon deals or whatever else like that, that's almost tithing for me. Okay, because the tithe, you give tithe where you're fed, and I'm out here in the truck, so I'm driving around and stuff like that or whatever. So I'm watching Cody on Wranglestar Patreon deal, $5 a month. You know what I mean? And this dude's got a gratitude journal. So this dude's whipping out his journal now. He's still growing, and he's changed a little bit here and there or whatever. But pull the truck over, write down 10 things I'm grateful for. It's time to pray. And time to pray. You know what I mean? Get on my knees, literally on my knees, and pray. I did that, and it dawned on me. I was like, I haven't actually got on my knees to pray to God in years. You know what I mean? Because I just pray going in to do it. And that's the thing. And you should have that skill and hone that. But to actually pray to God on your knees, and it's a whole other thing, man. And it's when I do that, and then the gratitude list, then Andy Frisella, he's got his the power list. Like, I'm going to do these 5 things until it's a habit. And each day that I do all 5 things is a win. And then if I don't do them, it's a loss. So as I stack wins and I watch it, I'm building momentum towards towards my goals. If I just keep moving towards my goal and I don't quit, I will reach my goal. It's godly. It's what it is. It's got God's fingerprints all over it, because God will do something profound in its impact, but it's very simple. Very simple. E equals MC squared. Thermodynamics. All sort of kind of stuff, right? Plant corn, get corn. The law of sowing and reaping. You know what I mean? And then, like every cliche you've ever heard, there's a biblical law behind that. Just that realization. It only takes a little faith to move them out, right? And ain't that good? You know what I mean? But the faith is being like a child. You know what I mean? And the childlike faith. So I've seen enough of the Bible. I've worked out enough of these things and took, E equals MC squared from the scientific community and seen how that's just observational science is smart people seeing what God did and breaking it down to a level of they can repeat it. That it's replicatable. They try to replicate the examination of evidence and then testing process where they try to repeat it. Okay, well, if I do this and do this and do this, this is what I get. You know what I mean? Whether it's a recipe for a cake or, a thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missile. You know what I mean? You can use big words with 5 syllables and then say, large numbers above the comprehension of your average person to appear, more powerful than you actually are. Which is I left a message on Viking Preparedness today. He was thinking about, a lot of people think they're smarter than they are. And it was like the done in something or another. I put on there the Dun & Bradstreet effect. Like, once you're registered with Dun & Bradstreet, getting business credit, you think you're smarter than you really are. Oh, man. That's a great joke for me. I don't know how many other people get that, but if you've ever been on the side of the road changing a tire for somebody that's got like a Bugatti, you know what I mean? Like, there's this guy, they know all this stuff, and they think they're so smart and everything, and as Robert Negraff would say, they ain't smart enough to pour piss out of a boot. And then, as I like to point out, why would you piss in your boot? And the whole essay about Beyond Survival, maybe I should put that in there. Get smart enough to put it. pour piss out of your boot, and also smart enough to piss into your boot at night, so the piss will kill the fungus. So, piss and boot is your piss is very sterile, and anyways. So those are some good guys. Probably better than what I do. I think definitely better than what I do. You know, I see them as masters of their craft, and their specific skill sets are it's replicatable to your level and degree. But the information they give, like, who don't want a better marriage? You know what I mean? And then, like, you know, who doesn't want to ponder the things of God? And then, like, who don't want to be, like, laid back enough to be all chill in the shed, but still tough enough to walk on a broke leg? You know what I'm saying? And then just straight up in your face, like a coach talking about, you can do this. You know what you're supposed to do. You're just not doing it. Get it fucking done. You know what I mean? Welcome to motherfucking reality. That's what he said. That's Andy Frisella, by the way. That's what they say. You know, he switched up here a while back, and I put on there. I was like, man, bro, I need a solid motherfucking every day. I mean, I don't. You know, it's just normal for me to hear motherfucker. You know what I mean? And it's when people articulate themselves with different words, it doesn't have that heartfelt, genuine. Because in my experience, because I'm down here on the border, right? Like, you piss off one of these Mexicans down here of Mexican descent, they're probably actually a Texan, which makes them an American, right? But they'll start speaking in Spanish. And it dawned on me, if you piss somebody off, if they're emotionally engaged, they will speak in their native tongue. So if I'm talking to somebody, they're like, oh yeah, this some bitch over here, man, blah, blah, this, that, and here. Motherfucker, are you serious right now? I kind of tend to believe that dude. You know what I mean? Because right or wrong or accurate is still debatable, but it really appears that he believes what he's saying. So, the joke is something about I don't trust people that don't cuss. But it's really, I don't, the ring of truth a lot of times has a ring to it. God will give you that, discernment, I guess. Anyway, the ring of truth, like if I hear something that's got the ring of truth, cool. But then there's the ring of genuine. Like when you hear every person I mentioned, when you hear them talk, they genuinely believe what they're saying, and they genuinely have a heart to help, and they genuinely are doing what they can to try to help, and they all want better for their self and their neighbors and their kinfolk and all that. So they're moving in the right direction. See what I'm saying? So if I could get their advice, I'm better off being out here isolated in the truck, talking on YouTube, and then, you know, interacting with my company, interacting with my family, which I call them all kinfolk, because we're all Christians, right? We're adopted into his family. So that makes us kinfolk, the Am family. I am. The power of I am, like I am. Like the great I am's a thing too, but the phrase I am, you know what I mean? And then the creator, I am that I am. You know what I mean? So if I can get that concept in my head, then I can draw off the power and the force that's available to us through the adoption, that's available to us through the redemption brought about by the fulfillment of the law of atonement, which Christ, when he died for us, accomplished all of that, which is wow. You know what I mean? And somewhere in there I could get childlike, recognize this as wow, but in a childlike manner, sing a song about it, right? Because God's given me all this stuff. He even says that there's somewhere he rejoices over us with singing. So I could reciprocate that, but I could come up with my own lyrics. So from my heart, thinking about God, I can set to melody my own lyrics and sing God. Sing a song of praise, shine light in the world today. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So he's the creator. He created everything. He gives me 100%. I'm supposed to give back 10%. So everything's just me giving back to him. But when I create something new, like a song from my heart, and give that to him, that's 100% I did that. Like, he gave me the breath and the capability and everything. Like, you know, he gave me everything I needed to be able to put that together and present it, you know, make that cake and say, here you go, love you. You know what I mean? But when I get to do that, there's a connection. There's a connection and a blessing and a overwhelming goodness that's unmatched in the earth. I've never seen anything like it. You know, I hate saying that because Trump says that all the time. But I do not find a place of worship, not like location of worship, but like a place. Metaphysical, I guess would probably be the way to say it. A place of worship. Like, I can dwell via contentment with God. And you talk about take the weight off your shoulders, man. And then knowing he's my source. And like, we're kicking it to the point we're like, you know, riding around together like, hey, look at that. Hey, look, I like what you did with that tree. That's pretty cool flowers back there. Good job, God. He put the flowers over there, and there's Judge Ogle running for council. The flowers over there, and there's hardware's right there. We got a Ford Ranger in the road. He made it all for you and me, and sing along. You can see that it's just time to make a song and sing to goodness. Whatever, you know what I mean? Speak ye one another in spiritual songs and hymns. So it's kind of a commandment. You know, there's the ones he wrote with his fingers, but he told us to do all this other stuff, and he is, the Word made flesh. Therefore, God commanded us, insert everything Jesus said. All red letter words, right? And then you realize that he's everywhere all the time. Man, it's just like a cool breeze. It's like a tsunami overpowering me, and just like a cool breeze in a hot day satisfied me, and at the same time, and when all that's fresh and in the forefront of my mind, I'm just like, what are you afraid of? What's there to be afraid of? My dad's bigger than your dad. Jesus all the time. I tell everybody, you're of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning. Those guys are like, my dad's Moses or whatever, or Abram. We're the sons of Abram. He's like, hey, well, you guys killed the prophets. Who warned you, brood of vipers? Man, if I was talking to somebody or I made a video or something, I said, when you look at the guy in the mirror, if there's anything that don't look like Jesus, change it. Oh, I was talking to that guy. It was right up here. No, it was over there. Yeah. It started raining real bad. So we sat there. I was witnessing to this guy, this other guy, heard it and everything. And I was like, what do you think Jesus looks like? And he's like, well, probably like you. And I said, would you... And he was a Mexican guy, right? So obviously, I look like I'm white. He looked like a Mexican. Anyway, so I said, when you look in the mirror, if you see anything that don't look like Jesus, go ahead and change that. And then that's when it hit him, like, what does Jesus look like? Has nothing to do with our physical appearance. It has nothing to do with who's your lineage. What's your nationality? Doesn't matter. We're adopted into the, I guess it would be tribe of Judah if you got real specific. Like, Jesus is our brother now, like we're the bride of Christ. So, you know, there's a lot of parables, you know what I mean, without any of the, you know, schism. And the parables are great. You know, you should that's why the farmers, like, I don't see it much places more than Oklahoma. Oklahoma rednecks compare everything. You know what I mean? You know, it's cold as a witch's tent. Yeah, it's I can't believe I said that. Anyway, they compare stuff. You know, it's hotter than blazes. You know, I thought of about 8 of them just now that I can't say on camera because they are definitely coarse jesting. Hard coarse jesting. Anyway, something about a porcupine and a woman that's, you know, loose. Anyways, everywhere I go, every day, wherever I'm at, I will try to be lighthearted, kind, and good. You know what I mean? I do that. You know, I want to be that way. I want to be that way. Now, do I have to be hard and stern at times? Of course. You know what I mean? Like, I fought a dude that loves parking lot like Easter Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't have to run around here and just fight everybody. You know what I mean? If the situation arises, I'll be like, I gotta be ready for anything. I say it like this: I'm geared for any weather, and I stay ready all the time. So, if I choose to be nice and live as a nice guy and interact with my family, like the way I talk on here and stuff, like, I mean, I want to enjoy my life. I was a long time. I mean, I've been driving 10 years. This is probably 10 years before that. I mean, it may be even further than that. It was after Dylan died. He's been dead for 22 years. So between 15 and 22 years ago, I was concerned about the end of the world. And I asked God, I was like, what should I do? And he said, enjoy it while it lasts. And that was a specific word to me in that season. And I was alone. I definitely heard it. I don't know if somebody was standing beside me, would they have heard it? I'm going to say probably. I think it was audible. It was so real to me it was audible. But it could have been like a, you know, mind-to-mind type of deal. Not sure. But he told me specifically to enjoy it while it lasts. Okay. So I am commanded by God to enjoy my life. And the more that I enjoy the situations around me, so enjoy the bicycle guy. Tell me you got a DUI without telling me you got a DUI. 40-year-old dude on a bicycle. Anyway, I don't know that. He might just be getting in shape. I'm a pretty serious guy, and I'm a go-getter. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't have a job, my job is looking for a job. And I tend to work 60 hours a week. You know what I mean? And I've never been without opportunity to work. Now, I have worked, and the opportunity was there, but there wasn't no money. Been there, done that a bunch of times, more than I care to admit. I have been tricked every way possible, I think. A significant amount. Like, my wisdom was not, you know, observe and do right. Mine was like, live it out. So anyways, I've suffered and learned then as I go about my day, if I'm enjoying it, it seems like I have a better witness. It seems like I'm more productive. It seems like everything is better. You know what I mean? But that's a specific word for me. You know what I mean? Because like I struggle, because like 50 cents is fuck you money for me, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't even care about money. God's my source. I could be flat broke, need a job, hungry, destitute, talking to the guy that's wanting me to do a job, and look him straight in his eye and say, fuck you, fuck your job, you can kiss my ass, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, been there, done that. So it doesn't matter to me about I could have $1 billion in debt or $1 billion in surplus. I'm going to be the same guy. You know what I mean? Now, with the kid folk and stuff like that, man, sometimes it's so hard to watch. Yeah, because like you see what they're doing is it's like, man, if they just adjust this or adjust that, they'd have a much better outcome. And, you know, they're so pig-headed and stubborn, stiff-necked. If you tell them that's the last thing they're going to do, you know what I mean? So you got to, like, you know, make it their idea somehow to get them to, you know, I mean, just nail two 2x4s together. You know what I mean? If you tell them to nail it, oh, well, we got to get screws. You know, it's like, Dad, yeah, the screws stay in the boards better than a nail, yeah, but the shear strength isn't there. So when you're, you know, putting a roof jack on a 12-12 roof, you better use nails, not screws. Because those screw heads will just pop off and you're going to go for a ride you don't want. You know, you want to avoid the express elevator when you're roofing. You know, don't fall off the roof. So anyways, it's difficult to watch some of that stuff. And then what do you do? You know what I mean? Like what do you do? And then you just lean on God because God's way's always best. You know what I mean? So I know my dad's over there and he's going through some things and I need to go see him and stuff like that. And I should go see him and everything like that. And something, I mean, it's supernatural. Something comes up every time so I can't go see him. And then it turns out, you know, he's got a certain thing going on. And then my presence would make it much worse for everybody, especially me. So then, after seeing that, I see where this chance, and this chance did not come to fruition as a mercy from God at best. So even there, I can trust him. So I trust him, then I trust him, then I trust him, and I trust him some more. Because God is trustworthy. He's worthy of my praise. He's worthy of my trust. He's just really, really awesome. All the way around. So that's cool. Watch him, old boys. I mentioned. You got the Raggle Star, the War Band, I guess they call it, and the Tibosaurus Rex. He's got a Patreon. Pastor Joe Fox with the Viking Preparedness and Bear Independent. You watch him for just a little bit, and then you'll realize that God's real, because he's probably, watching what he said today was probably the best marriage counseling I've ever seen in my life. It probably is, actually. And Andy Frisella, Andy Frisella's free. All these guys have free stuff, but their Patreon stuff takes it to another level. Alright, go check it out. And it's like medical training, because Every time you get hurt, you are there. Every time you get hurt, you are there. So you might want to be able to, save your own life. And if you can save your own life, you can save the guy next to you. It's the same thing. Then if you have children in public school, on occasion, some jackass shoots everybody at the school. So make sure the teacher and the principal can stop the bleed of a shot child. So if there's 15 people there shot under the age of 12, how are you going to keep them alive? Are you going to stop the bleeding? Take them to a higher level of care. You're going to need some tourniquets, you're going to need some gauze, maybe some chest seals, whatever. Training to use it. Strategic positioning throughout the school. And more training for them to be able to use it. And, a stop the bleed kit, a desk kit, and the desk of every school teacher in the school is appropriate and actually affordable. You figure 30 kids in the class, you know what I mean? What, if it's $100, it's, 30 kids at $5 is $150. That's more than enough. You know what I mean? Like, stop the bleed kit and ice cream for everybody, Send your kid to school with $5. All the kids, $5, you know what I mean? I don't know who ain't got $5. Who can come up with $5? $5 to save the child's life. I mean, come on, man. What are you doing? All right, that's all I got. Rock Hill. Well, I got a bunch more, but it's 47 minutes into this deal, so we're shutting it down. Rock Hill.